Every condition in your life that you wish were different is being held in place by a mental pattern you haven't yet changed. You've been working harder, pushing longer, grinding through obstacles with sheer willpower, and wondering why the same problems keep showing up, wearing different costumes. The frustration you feel is real. But by the end of this, you'll understand why all that effort has been aimed at the wrong target and what to aim at instead. Charles Haanel published the Master Key System in 1912 as a 24-part correspondence course. His central argument cuts against everything modern culture teaches about success. Physical action, he wrote, can only work with the conditions it finds. Mental action creates the conditions themselves. That distinction changes the entire game. Think about what you've been doing when something in your life feels wrong. You reorganize, you make lists, you have difficult conversations, you apply to more jobs, join another program, start another routine. And some of these things help, temporarily. The relief lasts a few weeks, maybe a month. Then you're back in the same emotional place, facing a variation of the same limitation. Different job, same frustration. Different relationship, same loneliness. Different city, same restlessness. Haanel would say you've been rearranging furniture in a burning building. The fire is internal. Every external adjustment you make gets consumed by the same mental pattern that created the problem in the first place. So what is this mental pattern, and how does it actually generate conditions? Your mind operates on two levels. The conscious mind chooses, directs, reasons. The subconscious mind accepts, builds, manifests. Haanel describes the subconscious as a builder that works with whatever blueprint the conscious mind provides. Hand it a blueprint of lack, and it builds lack efficiently, reliably, without judgment. Hand it a blueprint of abundance, and it builds that instead. Same builder. The blueprint is the variable. Here's where most people get stuck. They consciously want abundance, health, connection, they affirm it, they visualize it, but underneath the affirmation runs a current of anxiety. Underneath the visualization lives a deep conviction that they're asking for too much, that people like them don't get to have lives like that. The subconscious reads the deeper signal. Always. It responds to your sustained mental state, the one running in the background while you're busy performing optimism on the surface. Haanel is specific about this. He writes that the subconscious mind takes the conscious thought as a suggestion and proceeds to carry it into effect. The key word is sustained. A 5-minute visualization followed by 16 hours of worry gives the subconscious a very clear blueprint. And the blueprint says worry. The math is brutal in its simplicity. So mental action means something far more demanding than positive thinking. It means governing the quality of your thought hour by hour, watching the internal monologue as it runs, catching the moment where a creative vision dissolves into rehearsing worst-case scenarios. That catching, that interruption and redirection, is the actual work. Everything else is decoration. You know this from your own experience. Even if you've never framed it this way, remember a time when you were genuinely confident about an outcome. A project where something inside you just knew it would work. You still took physical action. You still made calls, did the work, showed up. But the quality of that action was different. You moved with a kind of certainty that magnetized cooperation from other people. Doors opened. Information appeared at the right time. Coincidences stacked in your favor. Now remember a time when you were terrified of failing. You worked twice as hard, exhausted yourself, and things kept going sideways in ways you couldn't predict or control. Same person, same capabilities. The only variable was the mental state underneath the effort. Haanel would tell you those weren't coincidences in either case. The mental state was literally organizing the conditions. The confident mind was issuing a clear, coherent signal to the subconscious, which then coordinated resources in alignment with that signal. The fearful mind was issuing a fragmented, contradictory signal. Want success, expect failure, and the subconscious built exactly that confusion into the external world. This is where the teaching gets uncomfortable. Because it means you can't outsource your transformation to action alone. You can't hire a coach, follow a system, or adopt a routine and expect it to override the mental pattern. Those tools work when the mental pattern is already aligned. They accelerate what's already in motion. But they can't substitute for the inner shift. 100 physical actions powered by a mind convinced of its own limitation will produce limited results. One aligned action, powered by a mind that has genuinely shifted, will produce results that look disproportionate from the outside. People watching from the outside call it luck, or privilege, or timing. They see the visible action and assume that's where the leverage was. They miss the invisible shift that preceded it, sometimes by weeks, sometimes by months. The internal rearrangement that made the external result inevitable. Now, a fair challenge to this idea. What about people born into conditions so harsh that mental action alone seems almost insulting as advice? Poverty, illness, systemic barriers, these are real. Haanel himself acknowledges that conditions exist, that the physical world has momentum. The teaching asks you to hold two things at once. Conditions are real in their effects, and conditions are plastic to sustained mental force. You work with what's in front of you. You take whatever action is available, but you refuse to let the current condition define the mental blueprint. That refusal is where the power lives. The condition is the old print. Your sustained thought is the new negative being developed in the darkroom of your subconscious. The Master Key system outlines a specific method for this. Haanel instructs students to sit in stillness for 15 to 20 minutes daily, initially doing nothing except gaining control over the body and its restlessness. Later, directing thought toward a specific ideal. Holding that ideal with complete concentration, without letting the mind wander to fear or doubt. This sounds simple. Try it for 5 minutes and you'll discover it's one of the hardest things a human being can attempt. Your mind will rebel. It will generate urgent thoughts, phantom itches, sudden memories of emails you forgot to send. Every one of those interruptions is the old mental pattern defending itself. Every time you return your attention to the ideal, you weaken the pattern's grip by a fraction. The fractions compound. That's the part nobody tells you about mental discipline. It works like compound interest. The first week feels pointless. The first month feels like you're failing at meditation. Somewhere around the second or third month, something shifts. Your default emotional tone begins to change. The anxiety that used to be your resting state starts feeling like a coat you put on by habit rather than something fused to your skin. You catch yourself expecting things to work out, and the expectation feels natural rather than forced. That's the blueprint changing. The subconscious is accepting the new pattern. And here's where it gets interesting. The physical world starts rearranging itself around the new pattern before you take any dramatic external action. A conversation happens that opens a door you didn't know existed. An idea arrives fully formed at 2 a.m. Someone you haven't spoken to in years reaches out with exactly the opportunity you needed. The alignment between inner state and outer condition isn't metaphorical, it's mechanical. It's how the system works. Haanel insists on this point with a kind of quiet stubbornness throughout all 24 parts of the course. He returns to it from different angles, through different metaphors, but the core message never shifts. The world without is a reflection of the world within. Change the within, and the without must follow. Attempt to change only the without, and you're trying to adjust your reflection by reaching into the mirror. You've been reaching into the mirror, probably for years, working on effects while leaving the cause untouched. The exhaustion you feel, that bone-deep tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, comes from the futility of that approach. You've been spending enormous energy fighting symptoms, while the source keeps generating new ones. The mental action Haanel describes requires a different kind of effort. Quieter, more internal, less visible to anyone watching. You won't be able to post about it on social media. There's no dramatic before and after photo for learning to govern your own thought. The discipline of sitting in stillness and refusing to let your mind default to its habitual patterns of worry and limitation looks, from the outside, like doing absolutely nothing. From the inside, it's the most consequential work you'll ever do. Every imperfect condition in your life right now is a printout of an old mental blueprint. The paper is already through the printer. You can't grab it back. But you can change what's loaded in the tray. The next printout, and the one after that, and every one that follows will carry the new pattern. Your physical effort has its place. Action matters, but action is the vehicle, and your mental state is the fuel and the navigation system combined. A vehicle with no fuel sits in the driveway no matter how polished the engine. A vehicle with fuel but no direction drives in circles. The mental work provides both the energy and the coordinates. Tonight, before you sleep, try something small. Sit for 10 minutes with your eyes closed. Let the restlessness come, the urge to check your phone, the suddenly urgent thought about tomorrow. Let it all pass without engaging. Then, hold one clear image of the condition you want to experience. Feel it as present tense. Feel it as already yours. When fear interrupts, and it will, return to the image without fighting the fear. Just return, gently, persistently. That gentle persistence is the master key. Every lock in your life responds to it. The question was never whether you could work hard enough to force those locks open. The question was always whether you'd be still enough to use the key you've been holding the entire time.